What's up, friends? My name is Jess. Welcome to my channel and welcome to a tier ranking of literally every book that I read in 2020. I read about 136, 132 books this year, somewhere around there. So it's a lot of books, so I'm just gonna jump right into it because I really don't know how long this is gonna take. Also, if you see me struggling a little bit, I have my cat in my lap right now and he's making things a little bit hard, but I can't push him off. Like, I don't have the heart to do that. Let's just start walking you through all of the ranks that I have for this tier ranking. So first rank up here is top 5. This is obviously going to be for only the top 5 books of the year. Anything else is gonna have to go to the bottom. I'm probably gonna switch around the books that are in this top one a lot as I go through all of the books. Next tier is Ate It Up. These are just the books that are really, really good. They didn't make it into the top 5, but I still loved them a lot and they were contenders. After that, it's She's Fun. I had a good time. Are they objectively good books? Maybe not, but I had a good time. Not for me are books that were just not for me. Maybe they were good objectively and I think they'd be great for other people, but they weren't for me. That World, though, is kind of a unique tier in that it would have fallen into not for me, or I was disappointed in the book, I just didn't really like it, but the world building of it was great. Plot, writing, everything else aside, the world of it was great. And so it deserves some kudos for that. I don't know how many books are gonna go into this tier, to be honest. I pretty much just made it for Alatsue, so we'll see. Next up is It's There. It's a book. It exists. I don't have any feelings besides that. Wanted more. For some reason or another, it disappointed me. The tier that says no is pretty self-explanatory. I just maybe wish I didn't spend the time reading it. That's it. Do I have a burning hatred against it? No. That's where Burn It comes in, where I'm like, this book shouldn't even exist. I shouldn't have read it. No one should read it at all. It should not have been written. And then the last rank is Who, which is, I just don't remember this book. And just to show you, these are all of the books that we're going to be going through. It's a lot, so I'm just gonna get started. This is not in the order that I read them because tier ranking just randomly puts the photos anywhere. So the first book we have is Anna Karenina. I'm just gonna put it at It's There. I don't have a lot of feelings about it. I just feel like it's too long. It's the opposite of the wanted more category because I wanted less. Next we have The Awakening, which is one of the first 3 books in the Vampire Diaries series, I don't know, but all 3 of them are going in the Burn It category because they were so poorly written. I haven't even seen the show, but I can confidently say you should just watch the show. Also, you can watch my Battle of the Vampires video if you want a more in-depth discussion on why this entire series should just be burnt off the face of the earth. Next is The Beautiful and Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald, I think. I'm gonna put that in She's Fun. She was not fun, actually, because made me feel a lot of things. Because the main characters just had a tendency of living outside of their means and never getting jobs and just feeling lost and wanting more than they could ever have. And it's just a lot of feelings that hit a little bit too close to home at times. She wasn't that good, I don't think, but she made me feel things. Next is Becoming, Michelle Obama's memoir. I'm gonna put that in Wanted More, which I feel a little bit bad doing, but it is true, I wanted more. I felt like there just wasn't as much emotional impact. Michelle Obama gave us a lot of facts, she gave us a lot of personal details of her life, but I felt like there was a lack of vulnerability to it. There was a bit of a barrier put up. To be fair, I listened to this on audiobook, and while Michelle Obama did narrate her own audiobook is just a hard medium for me. Maybe if I give this book a second chance and read it physically, it'll be different, but for right now, I just wanted more. Next is Black Beauty. It's there. It's a children's book. I should have known better. The Black Book of Secrets. I'm gonna put it in Ate It Up. I'm stuck between Ate It Up and She's Fun, but I'm gonna put it in Ate It Up just because I really loved the world. I loved the writing style. It was a bit different than a lot of the writing styles that I read right now, so it stood out to me more. Next is Blood Promise, which I think is the 4th book in the Vampire Academy series, and I'm gonna put that in Ate It Up. Here's the thing though, the majority of the Vampire Academy books are probably gonna be in She's Fun. However, my favorite Vampire Academy book was either the 3rd one or the 4th one, and whichever one that is would be in Ate It Up. Since I can't remember, I'm just gonna put both of those in the same category. I love all of Vampire Academy books. If you don't know, I'm doing a Vampire Academy read-along right now with a couple of people, so if you're interested, just saying. Next is Bowl of Heaven, which I'm just gonna put in Burn It. I DNF'd. Did I DNF that book? No, I didn't DNF it. I slogged through every single page of that book and they were all bad. It just felt like the book wasn't edited at all. I do talk about this in my September wrap-up, I think, so you're welcome to see my review of that. Pretty much all of the Twilight books are going to go into no, except for Eclipse, which I hated the most because I thought it was peak abusive behavior. These books are also mentioned in my Battle of Vampires series. The Bride Test, she's fun. None of the romance books that I've read are gonna go into Ate It Up, I'll be honest. Romance just isn't my genre. But The Bride Test was fun. Helen Huang did convince me that I like romance a little bit. Next is If You're Reading This, I'm Already Dead. If You're Reading This, I'm Dead. I can't remember the title of it. If I can't even remember the title, you already know it's going in under who. Cemetery Boys. Cemetery Boys could go into 3 categories. It could go into that world though, because I love the world, but that doesn't feel kind enough for how much I did like this book. Was it good enough to be in Ate It Up? I don't know, but it was better than She's Fun, so I'm gonna put it in Ate It Up, but I'm on the fence about that one. Centurion's Wife, I don't even remember reading it this year, so I'm gonna put it under who. Christmas Cookie Murder, She's Fun. Objectively a horrible book, has a lot of problematic stuff to it, but she's fun, and it was great for the Christmas season. City of Ghosts, I'm gonna put it in that world though. I did like City of Ghosts, and I also talked about that one in my September wrap-up, I think. I did like the book. It's just not for me because it's a middle grade, and middle grade isn't really my age group where I'm the happiest. However, I did like how Victoria Schwab did the whole thing with the main character Cassidy's powers, where every time she passes into the supernatural ghost world, she relives the sensations of when she died, so I thought that was cool. Clap When You Land. I'm gonna put Clap When You Land in Ate It Up. No, I'm gonna put it in top 5 for now. It'll probably get moved, but I did really like Clap When You Land. I really emotionally connected to the story. I thought it was great. The Cold Dish, no. I also feel like it was a little bit problematic, but in general, it was just, no. Congo, I remember liking it. I can't put it in who because I remember the book. I'm just gonna put not for me because I thought it was a really good book and I was entertained when I was reading it, but ultimately it did nothing for me. Cordelia's Honor is also gonna go not for me. It's just not a genre that really suits me very well, but I do think it had a lot going for it. So if you like, what is this, adult sci-fi, go for it. Crime and Punishment is gonna go in She's Fun. If you're not interested in criminology and the psychology behind, murder and people committing crimes, it's not going to be fun for you. But it was fun for me. I think I talk about Crime and Punishment in my September wrap-up. The Kusanis Game, burn it. I DNF'd that one. It was bad. Daisy Jones and the Six. Daisy Jones and the Six is confidently going in top 5. I have no question about it. So we have one of the other books in the Vampire Diaries series. We already know that's going in burn it. Darkest Minds, Ate It Up. I read The Darkest Minds somewhere in the beginning of this year, and maybe it's not the best book in the world or the best series in the world, but it reminded me why I loved YA. It did a lot for me. I ate it up. I went out and bought the rest of the series after I read that first one. Next is Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. We're gonna put it in burn it. It's terrible. I will be talking about it in my December wrap-up. Just watch the Netflix series. So the next one is Dead-Eye Dick by Kurt Vonnegut. And I have 2 Kurt Vonnegut books on here, one of which is in the Who category because I don't remember it, and the other one would have been somewhere in She's Fun. I think Dead-Eye Dick is the one that goes in Who, because I don't remember the story. Maybe. I don't know. Next is Death Comes to Pemberley, which is a sequel of sorts to Pride and Prejudice, but it's a murder mystery sequel of sorts. I'm gonna put that under no. Just no. Didn't need to exist. Next is The Diviners. I'm gonna put it in that world though. I want to give The Diviners a second chance because I listened to it on audiobook and now I am well aware that I should not listen to very complex fantasy stories like that in audiobook format. So I want to give it a second chance. But what I do remember is that I did like the writing style, but more than anything, I loved the research that went into building the aura of the 20s and everything like that. It was really, really good. I loved the research. I loved everything that went into it. Eclipse is going into burn it. Like I said, that book was peak abusive behavior. Throughout the whole series, the relationships in the Twilight series is just bad. But Eclipse is where it gets concerning and my blood pressure went through the roof. Alatsue is going in that world though. I know it's technically a YA book, but it read very middle grade to me. It didn't hit very well with me, but I did love the world. I obsessed over the world. I loved how integrated magic was in a seemingly modern world. I do talk about Alatsue more in my Indigathon vlog, and I'll probably be talking about it in my November/December wrap-up. Entwined, she's fun. Ate it up. She's fine. Entwined is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, I think. It was a lot of fun. I don't think it's objectively like a complex, really well-written story, but it was a fun story, and I read it, I think, in a day. So technically I ate it up, but it's not good enough to be in the ate it up category. Aragon. It's there. I don't have strong feelings about it. Do I want to continue the series? Yeah, just to see what it's all about. Erotic stories for Punjabi widows. She's fun. She is very fun. I think I talk about it in my September wrap-up video if you want in-depth thoughts on it. I loved the story, but I'm not putting it in Ate It Up just because I didn't feel compelled to listen to the audiobook/read the ebook every second of every day. Next up is Eva Luna by Isabel Allende, and I have 3 of Isabel Allende's books, but it's so mentally difficult for me to distinguish the 3 of them from each other, so I'm gonna leave this for now. So we're gonna skip to The Evolution of Mara Dyer. I'm conflicted. I don't know if I should put the Mara Dyer series into She's Fun or It's There. I'm gonna put the whole trilogy in It's There. No, I'm gonna put the trilogy in Wanted More because I wanted way, way more from the unreliable narrator trope, and I didn't get it. I didn't get what I was looking for, and that's why I have mixed emotions on this series. The Fellowship of the Ring, just not for me. Adult high fantasy is just not for me, especially when it's written along the lines of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, where it's very questy and they walk for ages, and it's just, I don't know. It's simultaneously too dense and too slow for me. It did a lot for the genre, obviously, and I'm not gonna say that it's not a good book. It's just not for me. Frostbite, the second book in the Vampire Academy series, obviously, she's fun. The Fury, one of the Vampire Diary books, burn it. Next is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I'm gonna put this under She's Fun. God, she's fun. The author of the book had some issues this year. I'm not necessarily saying that I support the author and what she did, but the book itself was fun, and I'm not going to say that it wasn't. I actually read this book for a podcast class that I was doing, and I read it with some friends, so that also contributed to the fact that it was really fun. I really want to read the second book, which is The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy, something like that, which follows the sister of the main character in this book, and the sister was my favorite character of all. Next up is The Girl Who Drank the Moon. Not for me. This is also a bit of a disappointment because I know a lot of people have said really good things about it, and objectively speaking, I think it is a pretty good book. It just didn't hit right for me, and I think it's probably because it's middle grade. I just have a harder time enjoying middle grade. But I also listened to this on audiobook, so maybe if I read it physically, it'd be different. The Girl with All the Gifts. She's fun. She was fun. I was pleasantly surprised because I didn't know going into it that this book was about zombies. That was a shock. It kept me entertained. I'll Give You the Sun. She's fun. I also talk about this in my September wrap-up. There was a lot of emotional impact. I had some problems with the writing style, which is why it's not going any higher. The book was trying to be too many things at one time, so that was a little eh. The Golden Goblet. It's there. I wouldn't have picked out this book to read for myself, but I already had the book because I think it was passed down to me from my brother at some point. The Graveyard Book. She's fun. Debated putting that into not for me because of a similar issue in that it's a middle grade, but she was fun. The first part of the book is a little iffy for me just because it was very slow, but once the villain comes back into the picture, the story picks up a lot more, and I did enjoy meeting all of the ghosts. Next is Vampire Empire, I think, and she's fun. Fully read this book expecting to not care about it at all and to unhaul it. She grew on me. I got a little soft for the vampire, and I even got a little soft for the romance, which, mind you, it's a very slow burn, and I definitely want to read the next book in the series. The Handmaid's Tale. I think I wanted more, but I think that's mostly on me because I watched all of the seasons of the show and I loved it so much. So I went into the book expecting something that it wasn't. That's on me. I kind of want to give it a second chance, especially because I want to read the second book. I heard that the second book is more of action-packed. The Happiness of Pursuit. I ate it up. This is a nonfiction book talking about, you know, reaching your goals and having your own personal quest in life. It's basically just trying to inspire you to do something that you've always wanted to do and to challenge yourself. I read it at a time where I think I just needed it. I needed to feel inspired. Heartbeat Braves. It's definitely not for me. I think I'm gonna put it under no, because I also don't think a lot of people who love romance would like this book either. The problem here is that the romance essentially did not exist outside of the workplace, so I feel like it was underdeveloped. I do talk about this in my Indigathon vlog though, so if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts, that's where you can go. Next is Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel. I'm gonna put it under no. I read this book for my first Purging My Shelves video. I still kept the book because of the nostalgia factor. I had a lot of problems with the second part of the book, which is the sequel to the movie. It read almost like a poorly written fan fiction sequel. Next is The Afterlife of Holly Chase. That's gonna go and ate it up. This is gonna show up in my December wrap-up, but essentially The Afterlife of Holly Chase is a Scrooge retelling. I loved the world of it. I just had a really good time. Thanks to Rachel from Let Me in the Library because I found the book on her channel. Next is another Isabel Allende story, so we're gonna move on to the next one. How to Be an Anti-Racist. Ate it up. This was a very good nonfiction book. I thought it was very well detailed. The author uses a lot of his own personal anecdotes and is very vulnerable with the reader. Definitely came away from that book having learned a lot of things. Next is The Illustrated Man. It's there. I don't have many emotions one way or another. It just exists. Some of the short stories are good. I'm not a short story person. In the Afterlight, this is one of the Darkest Mind books, so I'm just gonna put it in Ate It Up. I don't remember the differences between the books in the trilogy, so they're just all getting the same treatment. In the Woods, no. It presented us with a mystery in the very beginning of the book, a 20-year mystery or something, and said mystery never gets resolved by the end of the book, and it is a standalone. So no. Next we have Inheriting Edith, which is a grief story, I think. Essentially this woman becomes a caretaker, I think, for this elderly woman, and it's about their bond, them getting to know each other. It's there. I don't have strong emotions. I think I liked it when I read it, but I don't have very strong emotions about it now. Interview with the Vampire. Wanted more. It was very slow. I wanted more action. I wasn't half as entertained as I wanted to be. You might as well just watch the movie because the movie has all of the events presented in a much better way. Next is Jack Maggs. I'm gonna put this in Who. I think this follows a criminal who gets sent to Australia. I don't know. Next is Jane Eyre. It's there. That's my feeling on a lot of classics. It exists. It did something. It just doesn't do much for me. Next is Kindness Goes Unpunished, which is just gonna go next to The Cold Dish, which is by the same author, under no. For the same reasons, it's kind of problematic. The Kiss Quotient, gonna go under She's Fun. Kissed by an Angel, it's there. I really liked the tones of it, I liked the drama of it, I liked the tragedy of it, but I had my problems with it. Next is The Last Portrait of the Duchess of Alba, and I'm gonna put this under She's Fun. I kind of wanted more, but it's more in the sense of the writing style didn't quite jive with me, but it's an older book and that's the reason why. But I did really like the story of it. Essentially, it's a mystery book. It's being written in the form of a letter / confession of somebody decades and decades after the death of the Duchess of Alba. Next is Last Sacrifice, which I think is the last book in the Vampire Academy series. Obviously, She's Fun. I can't really read the title on this one, but I think it's like Mrs. Lee and Miss Grey. Either way, it's gonna go under no. It's a story about the relationship between these two women, one of who is a rich white woman and another is a black servant for this woman's household. There was kind of a tone to it where they were trying to make it seem like, yes, these white people had slaves, but they were good to their slaves, so they were good people, you know? And they had a little bit of a white savior complex feeling to it. I don't know, it was just problematic. Next is Life After Life. I'm gonna put this under Who. I remember the premise, essentially. I think I remember the premise of this girl somehow having the ability to restart life every time she dies, but I don't remember anything beyond that, and I certainly don't remember how I felt about it. Next is The Light We Lost. I did just read this for a video that I just posted where I read romance until I liked it. I really liked this book at the time, but now I think I'm just gonna put it in It's There, because my feelings have faded a bit and I'm just stuck with what was left, which was some selfish characters, a cheating trope, and just, you know, liminal people That world, though. So the liminal people are essentially people that have special powers, and all of them have their own different unique powers. The main character has essentially the power to heal or just control parts of the body. And what I love about this is that it has a darker take on everything, because every time that I see things like the X-Men and whatever, what have you, of people having special powers, I always want those people to be more creative, especially more creative in the ways they can weaponize those powers. And this book certainly did that. You see the main character, you know, doing things like raising the blood pressure of somebody that he's facing off so that they feel nervous and anxious when talking to him. But the writing style and the plot just wasn't quite for me. It felt a little bit more like a first draft, like it could have been worked on a bit more. Next is Little Fur, which I'm gonna put under She's Fun. This is a children's middle grade book, and you're following Little Fur. I don't know what she is. I don't know if she's like a fairy. I don't know. I don't know what she is. But she is a little woodland creature, and she's going on an adventure, and that's essentially it. It has a very environmental message behind it, but overall it was a very soft, light read. It made me feel really good inside, so I would definitely recommend reading it if you want. Next up is Little Women. It's there. I have nothing else to say about it. I essentially just read this book because I want to watch the movie at some point. A Madness of Angels, also going under that world though. Didn't really like the pacing of it, but I did love the magic system here. It's a very urban fantasy magic system, and you can see the influence of it so well because the magic in the city is different from the magic in the countryside. The feelings are different. The way magic is used by different people. It was just all very creative. Next up, I have Mécanique. I'm gonna put it under Aided Up. The writing style of this book is exactly what I love. And it's so rare to find in books, but it was done so well here. And I don't really know how to describe the writing style either. It's a little bit difficult. It was kind of an, what is it, omniscient perspective, something like that. It was dark, it was eerie. I'm doing a very poor job of describing this writing style, but it's kind of just one that you have to read and have read before to understand what it's like. But it's very fantastical. It has a very steampunk influence on the world building and the plot. I loved it. Next is Mexican Gothic, which is gonna go under Wanted More. I just went into it with different expectations, and it was a lot slower paced and less action based than I was hoping it would be. And I was also expecting more of a psychological aspect to the horror, and it just didn't do that for me. The Last Story of Mina Lee ate it up. I did love The Last Story of Mina Lee. I was so emotionally invested in Mina Lee's story specifically, not so much the story of her daughter, but I was very invested in Mina Lee, and I definitely almost started crying at some points, but it's a great story of what it's like to be an immigrant in this country. Next is Never Fade, which is one of the Darkest Mind books, so I'm just gonna put it in Ate It Up. And then this is one of the Twilight books, New Moon, I think, I don't know. She's going under No. News of a Kidnapping. This is a nonfiction book covering the kidnapping of 4 journalists in a Latinx country. I want to say Colombia, but I can't remember now. So I'm gonna put this under Who, simply because I can't even remember the country that it was covering, and I should, considering Gabriel Garcia Marquez is famous, but whatever. The Night Country. She's fun. I needed a minute to think about it because, objectively speaking, it's not a very good book, so I almost put it in its there, but she is fun. This book takes place a year after 4 teenagers got into a car accident, which was fatal for some people. I think there was 1 survivor or something, and the story is being told from the ghost perspective of the teenagers that did die in the car accident as they're following key people who had a part to play in the accident. It was pretty good. Kind of wish it was written better because the premise is really good. The Ocean at the End of the Lane. I'm gonna put it in top 5 for now. I read this for my first Purging My Shelves video, and it just emotionally impacted me so much harder than I thought it would. It's very, very beautifully written. Oh, okay, cool. The 3 Isabel Allende books are now next to each other. I remember Of Love and Shadows is the one that follows a journalist, and I'm pretty sure that's the one that I liked the most. The other 2 have more of a fantastical element to them, which is fine and dandy, but Of Love and Shadows I think had more political intrigue. This one I think is the one that I liked the most, and I'm gonna put it in Ate It Up. The other 2, I'm gonna put them both in She's Fun. I've tried to read Isabel Allende multiple times in the past decade or so, and it wasn't until I read them this year that I actually really enjoyed it. As Old as Time This is one of the Disney twisted tales where they take a classic Disney tale and they ask like some random question. But here's the thing, I don't even remember what the twist was. So I'm gonna put it under who. I don't remember. On the come up, ate it up. It was very, very good. It was just amazing. Angie Thomas has such good writing, and you can see her mastery of words and writing, especially in the raps in this book. They were so good. The Poet X, not for me. I'm more open to books in verse nowadays after reading several of Elizabeth Acevedo's books, but The Poet X just wasn't one that I emotionally connected with very well. It wasn't for me. Princess Ever After, it's there. It's just really short, so there's not enough for me to have much of an opinion either way, but it's really cute. It's a really cute short read. If you ever want a nice graphic novel, go for it. Prophecy of the Sisters, wanted more. The premise isn't super original, but I thought the author had a lot of potential and it just kind of fell flat for me. Radio Silence. Radio Silence is going into top 5. This book almost made me cry. And it kind of has something to do with the fact that I just read it at the right time in my life, where I'm not just graduating high school like these characters are, but I just graduated college, and it's a similar feeling of not really knowing what to do with your life from there. So I emotionally connected. Ransom, wanted more. It just wasn't fleshed out enough. There wasn't enough tension, there wasn't enough anxiety, and we didn't get to see enough of the impact of these children being held hostage and how it affected their relationship with their family members, which I thought it would have been very interesting. Red, White, and Royal Blue. Ate it up. It was so good. This is actually the book that convinced me that I should continue reading romance novels. Red, White, and Royal Blue was really cute, almost made me cry at some points. Rescuing Sprite. It's some nonfiction book about rescuing a dog, but I'm gonna put it under who because I don't even remember anything beyond that. I feel like it just wasn't impactful at all. All right, this is one of the Mara Dyer trilogy books. Where did I say? I was gonna put them under wanted more. There we go. The Return of the King, one of the Lord of the Rings books, so not for me. Running. She's fun. This follows the daughter of someone who's running for senator at the moment, and it's kind of a political awakening for her, where she starts to discover that maybe she doesn't agree with all of her dad's policies, and she's discovering her own beliefs. She was fun, and I connected a lot with the character sometimes, but it just wasn't mind-blowing for me. Sadie, on the other hand, Sadie is going in the top 5. I have a very distinct memory of listening to this audiobook and just laying in my bed and staring at the ceiling. I really want a physical copy so that I can read it. Secret Garden, I'm gonna put it under no, to be honest. There's just a lot of problematic stuff about it. There was a lot of good messages in the book, and I feel like if children read it, they could learn a lot of good things from it, but they can also learn a lot of bad habits from it. So, on the fence about that, but I'm gonna put no. You Should See Me in a Crown. She's fun. Almost gonna put it in the Ate It Up just because I thought it was so cute and it had such an impact on me because I think this is one of the first sapphic romances I've ever read, and as a queer girl, that means a lot to me. But I really couldn't get past the premise. The whole prom competition thing to me is a little. I'm past that, you know? I'm too old for that. Seer of Shadows. I know I read this for the Purging My Shells, but I don't remember anything about it, so who? The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Top 5. Top 5. Emotionally killed me. I loved it. Shadow Kiss. I think this is either the 3rd or the 4th book in Vampire Academy, and like I said, one of those was the one that I ate up, so it's going to Ate It Up. Silent Witness. I want to put this in Ate It Up because I did. I loved it. I was so invested in everything, but there's enough problematic stuff in it that the best I can do is put it in She's Fun, and I can't even do that. So, okay, I'm gonna put it under no, just because there was enough in it to make me uncomfortable. I read this for the crime fiction edition of Purging Myself, so if you want more information on like what made it uncomfortable, you can go to that and check it out. I loved the writing of it, I loved the tension of it, it's just there was enough problematic content in it that it's just, I can't in good conscience put it that high up on my tier ranking. Next is Slaughterhouse 5, which I think is the one that I liked, so I'm gonna put it under She's Fun. I just remember there being a good message. That's it. Slay, so good. I ate it up. This is where I confirmed that I really like stories based around video games for some reason, even though I don't play video games. Something is Killing the Children. I wanted more. I expected more. It just took so long to give me anything that would interest me in keeping up with the issues, and I'm just not about it. Spirit Bound, She's Fun. It's a Vampire Academy book, you know. Stalking Jack the Ripper. I don't remember anything about this book. Who? The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight. She Is Fun. Don't expect much out of it besides a cute little romance. It's very short, but she was fun. This is the other Vampire Diaries book, and burn it. This suitcase is going to explode. Who? I don't remember anything about that. I remember that the cover has like a holographic design to it, which was cool, but I don't remember anything about it. Sweet Frances, same thing, don't remember anything. Sutton, I ate it up. It follows a famous bank robber decades and decades after the events when he's like 60 or 70 years old and he's just been released from prison. So you want to talk about race. I ate it up. I'm stuck between She's Fun and Ate It Up, but I'm gonna put it in Ate It Up. This was also a very good nonfiction book. If you have any interest in anti-racism, which you should start with this book. The Tattooist of Auschwitz, I don't remember anything about it. I just don't. Tell No One, I'm gonna put under It's There. It was fun when I read it, but it's one of those thrillers that now that I know what the answer is, I can't reread it. The Alienist, ate it up. I read this during my crime fiction purging my shelves video, so feel free to watch that. It was right up my alley. The Boxes, this is a middle grade that I don't remember, so who? The Colony, it's there. It's a nonfiction book about the leprosy settlements on one of the Hawaiian Islands, I think. It did what it was supposed to do. The Columbus Affair, I don't remember it. The Exception, I'm gonna put it under Ate It Up. This is a thriller that I think has merit beyond knowing the answer. I was anxious the entire time I was reading it, and it basically gaslit me as a reader. I thought it was great. The Hobbit, not for me, for the same reason that The Lord of the Ring is not for me. The Last Wish, she's fun. You would think I would put it under not for me because it's a similar high fantasy world as Lord of the Rings, but I thought it was more action-paced. Plus the fact that this is a collection of short stories made it easier for me to swallow. I am interested in reading the rest of the Witcher books. The Only Good Indians, she's fun. It's Final Destination in a book. I thought it was great, and I'm definitely going to read more Stephen Graham Jones. The Quick, it's there. Yeah, I remember a few things about this book. It's vampires, and there are gay characters, but unfortunately, the gay love interest dies very, very early on, and now that I think about it, I don't remember anything beyond the first 100 pages. So who? The Witch? No. I expected good things out of it, and I was just uncomfortable with the inappropriate relationship between the dad and the underage babysitter. The Third Twin, who? I vaguely remember maybe possibly liking it, but I don't remember anything about the book, honestly. It's about clones, that's all I can say. 3 Messages and a Warning, she's fun. This was a good short story collection that I read for Fortnite Frights, so check out my vlog for that. Time of the Witches, I wanted more, but I feel like it's unfair to say that considering it's a middle grade, so it gave about as much as it could give in a middle grade, but still. Twilight's going under no, like I said. The Two Towers is also going under not for me as Lord of the Rings. The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer going under wanted more with the rest of the trilogy. Vampire Academy, the first book, going under she's fun as expected. In Unkindness of Ghosts. Interesting world building since it's a bunch of people on a spaceship, which is not unique. A lot of people do that. It is interesting. I'm slightly concerned because I do feel like there's a possibility of someone reading that and thinking it's a little bit like trauma porn. So I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about it, but it's worth a try. It might be the book for you. I do recommend checking out the synopsis and seeing if you're interested in it. Winter, which is the last book in the Lunar Chronicles, I'm gonna put it in Ate It Up because I just really loved that series. I started reading it at the end of 2019. That series reminded me of why I love reading. It was just so much fun. I was so engaged. I loved it. Wool, ate it up. I just loved the world. I thought it was engaging. It was interesting. It was dark, which not a lot of the books that I read are that dark, so it was a change of pace. I really liked it. Worst case, burn it. You can check out my crime fiction purging video to see why. Basically, just a little bit of a problematic viewpoint on things. Kind of felt like it was trying to get us to side with cops and rich people. Year of the Witching. I wanted more. It was really good. I did give it 4 out of 5 stars, but I wanted more. I wanted more morally gray character. I wanted darker choices. I wanted more of a struggle with good versus evil, which we didn't get. You exist too much. I don't even know who you are. I remember that this is very much a character study, but I don't remember much beyond that. There's queer representation. That's what I remember. Okay, we're on the final book, The Zodiac Deception. I'm gonna put it under She's Fun. Objectively, I don't think this is a very great book, But this is a book that follows a con man trying to con Nazis in order to assassinate Hitler. And the synopsis alone sounds fun. Now let me take a look at my top 5. Because right now I have 6 in here. I'm moving Clap When You Land down to 8 it up. Daisy Jones, Evelyn Hugo, Sadie, and Radio Silence definitely belong up there. Does Ocean at the End of the Lane belong up there? Yeah, okay. Daisy Jones and the Six and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo are definitely 2 of my favorite books this year. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love her writing style. It's so impactful, it's emotional. I feel like she's so good at writing about human nature. Taylor Jenkins Reid is just so good at writing characters that are so flawed and they make so many poor decisions, so they're a bit morally gray, but you can't hate them for it because they're just human and they're just making mistakes like anyone else would. Sadie was so good. It was a book with a lot of things that I love. I love books that have to do with radio and podcasts and just media like that. I love murder and mysteries and crime fiction and everything along those lines. So Sadie was just a combination of a lot of things that I like. Radio Silence, like I said, I just read it at the right time in my life where I needed to read this message, and it had such great friendship in it. It was a very found family thing and I liked it a lot. The Ocean at the End of the Lane. I also just read it at the right time in my life. There were a lot of lines and messages in this book that hit me in the face and made me want to cry sometimes. Those are my top 5 books. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. So this is my entire tier ranking of 132, 136 books. I don't know, but these are all of them. I hope you enjoyed having me walk through them. If there's any book that I mentioned during this tier ranking that I haven't mentioned in a wrap-up or any vlog or any of that sort, and you want to hear my thoughts on it, feel free to comment below and let me know. I'm more than happy to do standalone reviews for books if people want it. Beyond that, if you have read any of the books that I've read and you have differing opinions from mine, or the same opinion, whatever, comment below, let me know what you thought. Let me know what your favorite book of the year was or your least favorite book of the year. Controversy is also fun. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I took a bit of a holiday break, but I am back with a vengeance and I have a lot of ideas coming out that I think are gonna be fun. So you might as well join me. Thanks for sticking around for what I'm sure was a long video. I will see you in the next one, guys.